Conversation group for this. Joining our conversation, Pulitzer Prize-winning presidential author and historian, biographer of Jefferson, Jackson, FDR, Churchill, and most recently Bush 41, Jon Meacham. Boston Globe, well, boy, it's Friday night. Boston Globe columnist and the chair of journalism ethics at Poynter, Indira Lakshmanan, is with us, and longtime radio talk show host, author, friend of the broadcast, Charlie Sykes. And Charlie, because a man from Kenosha, Wisconsin, is in the news tonight because he is a friend of yours, I'm going to start with him. Start wherever you like, but a personal note about what Reince Preibus' life has looked like these past 6 months, what his departure today means to you. I'd love to hear it.
Well, you know, I do think of Reince as a friend, but I think the story is tragic because he made a series of decisions. He made a series of rationalizations. He enabled and empowered Donald Trump. And even though a lot of us warned him that this would end badly, I don't think anybody thought that it was going to end in this torrent of profanity, obscenity, and humiliation that we have seen. You know, Reince says that he's going to try to keep this classy and above board, but the reality is that when you watch the trajectory of the first 6 months of this presidency, it's not because Reince Preibus was a bad chief of staff. It's because you have a dysfunctional president. Everything starts and ends with Donald Trump. And unfortunately, despite, you know, what a great American General Kelly is, he's going to inherit that same dysfunction. At the center of everything that is happening is Donald Trump. And by the way, the big question that I have is, what was the really defining move of the last week? Was it the appointment of General Kelly, or was it the appointment of the Mooch? The Mooch, who is obviously an unhinged, you know, sycophantic sociopath who has now been named the communications director of the President of the United States. You know, he's been described as the president's id. If that is the future of this presidency, then I'm not sure that General Kelly is going to be able to turn it around.
I love Friday nights around here. It loosens up the tongue. Jon Meacham, again, as I said to General McCaffrey, the launch of a missile today sharpens the mind, and it causes you, if you're at all worried about such things and response to such things, to ask about competence in the White House at the top of the most fearsome arsenal in the world.
You know, I was talking to a very senior Republican lawmaker last week who said that he was more concerned about what he called the competence deficit in the White House than he was even about Russia. And he was worried about Russia and the possibilities about what happened in 2016. I do think that General Kelly is good news on that front. But we all know, I mean, history is made up of the unexpected. And every White House comes in thinking that they can master events, and events nearly always master them. That's the way the world works. As far as General Kelly goes, I don't know if he knows the story, but exactly 30 years ago, in 1987, when Don Regan was on his way out as Reagan's chief of staff, Ronald Reagan decided to call the great Howard Baker of Tennessee, who was out of the House when the president called to offer him the chief of staff job. And Senator Baker was at the zoo with his grandchildren. And his wife said, "Mr. President, he can't come to the phone. He's at the zoo." And President Reagan said, "Well, wait till he sees the zoo I've got in mind for him." So I think that, the Reagan White House looks like the Kennedy School compared to this.
Indira, if indeed the arrival of a Marine four-star means these are better days ahead, do you think the bill for dysfunction kind of came due this past week?
Look, I think that it's all a great idea that General Kelly is supposed to come in and restore order. But, you know, it's like the idea of rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic when it is already halfway underwater. I mean, it really doesn't make any sense. There's no amount of order that he can possibly restore to a dysfunctional White House where everybody is infighting with one another, when it's the president himself who is encouraging this infighting, who's encouraging Scaramucci to give an interview like he did. Apparently, with his blessing, he gave these insults about Reince Preibus to Ryan Lizza of The New Yorker. I mean, when you have someone at the top who is allowing his, his staff members to act like contestants on The Apprentice, then, one of them is going to get axed week after week. We saw this week, it began with Sean Spicer out the door. It's ending with Reince Preibus out the door. I don't see how General Kelly is going to be able to restore order when you can't make order. It's like herding cats with a giant lion at the top who absolutely cannot be tamed.
We're going to pause our discussion on a Friday night. We'll come right back with our panel right after this.
You've wished upon it all year, and now it's finally here. The Mercedes-Benz summer event is back with incredible offers on the Mercedes-Benz you've always longed for. But hurry, these shooting stars fly by fast.
Lease the C300 for $399 a month at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
Tired of wrestling with seemingly impossible cleaning tasks? Using wipes in the kitchen can be ineffective. Try Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Simply add water to remove burnt-on food and grease. Try Mr. Clean Magic Eraser.
If you have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, and your symptoms have left you with the same view, it may be time for a different perspective. If other treatments haven't worked well enough, ask your doctor about Entyvio, the only biologic developed and approved just for UC and Crohn's. Entyvio works by focusing right in the GI tract to help control damaging inflammation and is clinically proven to begin helping many patients achieve both symptom relief as well as remission. Infusion and serious allergic reactions can happen during or after treatment. Entyvio may increase risk of infection, which can be serious. While not reported with Entyvio, PML, a rare serious brain infection caused by a virus, may be possible. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, experience frequent infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Liver problems can occur with Entyvio. If your UC or Crohn's medication isn't working for you, ask your gastroenterologist about Entyvio. Entyvio, relief and remission within reach.
That presents how to win at business. Step 1, point decisively with the arm of your glasses. Abracadabra, the stage is yours. Step 2, choose La Quinta, the only hotel where you can redeem loyalty points for a free night instantly and win at business.
You get used to food odors in your car. You think it smells fine, but your passengers smell this. New Febreze car with odor clear technology cleans away odors for up to 30 days.
Smells nice.
Breathe happy with new Febreze.
Meta appetite control. It's your glass of willpower that helps keep cravings far, far away. Feel less hungry with the natural fiber and clinically proven Meta appetite control from Metamucil.
Sold for $1.66 at about 98% off on DealDash.com. DealDash is the most exciting way to score brand name, brand new products at prices you won't believe. Professional stand mixers for under $6 and pressure cookers up to 85% off. Touchscreen laptops for less than $16 and HD TVs for 80% off or more. So stop paying retail. Go to DealDash.com right now.
They should have approved health care last night, but you can't have everything. Boy, oh boy. They've been working on that one for 7 years. Let Obamacare implode when we win on November 8th. And elect a Republican Congress, we will be able to immediately repeal and replace Obamacare. Have to do it. I know that we're all going to make a deal on health care. That's such an easy one.
We're going to take care of everyone. We're going to take care of people. And people are going to pay much less and get it so good.
Well, that was too easy, and let's talk about what happened last night. In the well of the Senate, it came down to one very dramatic moment. Senator John McCain walks in, asks to be recognized, raises that right arm broken 3 different places in North Vietnam. A quick indicator with a thumbs down. The Democrats briefly react. Senator Schumer waves off any verbal reaction.
Mr. Reed.
But with that, it was done. 7 years of talk about repeal and replace, done in one hand gesture. Our panel remains with us, and we'll go to Charlie Sykes. Charlie, much was made of that moment, a moment of moral courage, a man staring down his own mortality yet again, not the first time in his life. But let's also talk about the courage of Murkowski of Alaska and Collins of Maine, because without those two women, there is no moment like that for John McCain. My question to you, is that kind of courage for people cheering them on going to be contagious?
Well, you don't know. You know, you've made the point in the past, and others have as well, that you know, frankly, you know, it's going to have to be Republicans and conservatives that are going to have to rein in the Trump administration. It was another senator from Arizona, Barry Goldwater, who led the delegation to Richard Nixon to tell him that he needed to go. So John McCain has the long tradition there. But John McCain not only cast a courageous vote, I think he kind of threw himself on the political grenade of this toxic legislation. He probably provided cover for I don't know how many other senators who knew that this was a deeply unpopular, flawed piece of legislation, that the process, the policy, the politics were all horribly flawed, and that he provided them some cover. But, you know, we will see. I do get a sense that this was a turning point this week. Lisa Murkowski standing up against the threats from the Interior Secretary, the pushback against the talk of getting rid of Jeff Sessions, passing the Russian sanctioned legislation, the pushback on the transgender order. You almost got the sense that Republicans are realizing that, okay, this is their moment, they have to push.
Jon Meacham, I guess my question is there any parallel to something as elemental to a political party to have consumed almost 8 years worth of talk and campaigning? Any parallel to a Republican Party, a political party that's had House, Senate, White House going into a vote so elemental?
I can't think of a specific one. There are broad trends that unfold. The Republicans growing comfortable with deficits, that kind of thing, after campaigning against government for so many years. But in terms of a dramatic moment and a window into a party in crisis, we talk a lot about the Democrats' identity crisis, and rightly, but you know, there's a connection here between Preibus's departure and the failure of the repeal vote, I think, which is that the Republican Party essentially sold its soul to Donald Trump, and the check has bounced.
Indira,
and they're going to have to figure out what to do.
Indira, you get the last 30 seconds. What now for the Trump administration?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that John made the excellent point. It's really up to what are the Republicans going to do to stop him in Congress. And we've already heard from Chuck Grassley saying you can't fire the Attorney General. We're not going to put in a new Attorney General. You heard from Lindsey Graham saying we're going to put in legislation to stop you from firing Mueller. But I don't think that's going to necessarily stop this president from trying to take those kinds of actions. So we'll see whether any other Republican is going to be willing to do what Murkowski, Collins, and John McCain did, sticking his thumb out and putting it down, the thumb down like a Roman emperor. We'll see whether anyone's going to take that kind of dramatic step to stand up to Donald Trump.
And when John just said what he did, that sound you heard was the air coming out of Charlie's lungs. Of course, Charlie has written a book about this very thing, copies of which we're going to sell all during the fall. So to John, to Indira, to Charlie, thank you all for staying up late with us on a Friday night after the week we've had.